In this daily drop, I'm going to talk about the new Steadicam Axis. So let's go. All right, everybody, brand new episode, and everything is wrapping up here at Tiffen's Burbank facility. I'm in the conference room, which was, as I mentioned in yesterday's episode, the Tiffen filter room. And we've broken down the actual set. We've got the backdrop or soft drop from Roscoe still set up. I'll talk about that in another episode. And if you hear some booms and bams and clanks and clings and stuff like that, that means that everybody from Tiffen here and Steadicam is wrapping up things from yesterday's. I mean, there was like 1,000 people here. It was kind of insane with all of the vendors, and there's a lot of equipment that has to go out the door. All right, so Steadicam Axis. First of all, I just want to preface this episode by saying this is a pre-production model. It is not final. It will be shipping later this summer in 2024, and I'm pretty excited about it. Now, I have a little bit of history with gimbal-based systems, and I'm not talking about things like the systems from DJI and from FreeFly, like the Movies. I do have a history with those as well, but a more traditional, you've got a vest, you've got an arm, you have a sled. And I still own a system from a long time ago, which I used to actually shoot with quite regularly. It was not, as I will discuss in this episode, something like you're getting with the Axis, but I do have a little experience. Now, that said, at Cinegear, I tried this whole system on, and it kicked my butt to begin with, because you just have to let your body get used to it. I do not have the best posture in the world, and using a system like this definitely forces you to have good posture. But what excites me about this is Steadicam has really taken some technology, their Volt technology, which is an assist technology for different axes, and they have now trickled that downstream to this system, and they've increased it from 2 to 3 axes. So now you have pan, tilt, roll, assist in terms of the motor systems. And this is something entirely new from Steadicam. In fact, it is their first, to my knowledge, 3-axis Volt-based system. They will come out with the Volt 3 later this year, which will have higher capacity in terms of what the system will actually take in terms of your camera build. But this is pretty great and will serve for most people and the systems that they're using. So what is this thing? Well, first and foremost, I just want to talk about, while I still have this wide shot, what it comes with. You're getting an entire Steadicam system. So you're getting the actual vest itself, so you can actually attach the sled, the arm and the sled to that. First the arm, of course. You get the arm itself. So you've got the A30 vest, you've got the A30 Steadicam arm, and then you have the full Steadicam Axis sled here. This particular system is designed for payloads of about 20 pounds. You've got the sled itself, which is about 10 pounds. And then with your battery, your monitor, the monitor comes with the system, and your camera build, you basically can put about 20 pounds. Now, obviously, batteries are getting smaller. They're getting lighter with still great capacities. The monitor weighs almost nothing. And the whole system in this configuration, and again, this is a pre-production model, this is actually powering the whole motor system that's inside of this. It's also, the way it's set up right now, powering the Canon EOS C400 that we have on the system. So the real difference here with the Axis system compared to, let's say, the previous system in this price range, and this is going to be just under $9,000 US for everything, is that the Zephyr system had a similar weight capacity, but it didn't have any of this Volt technology, this assist technology for pan, tilt, and roll, which is going to allow you, if you're coming into the Steadicam world, to not, it doesn't negate learning how to operate a Steadicam, but those assist features to help you with things like your horizon and how much inertia and drag you have with your pan and your tilt and your roll operate in an even better way, if that's the right way to say that. I think what it's going to allow is for more people to come into the Steadicam world and get great shots. So essentially what you have here is this entire system. You're going to, take this, which is how you're mounting this when you're not using it. We've got, it's got a baby pin, and then you can mount it here with your arm and everything else. And then, you got to put this whole thing on and start operating. I've got a couple of clips here of people actually using the system. I'm not going to do that today. I just want to kind of get into a closer shot here and talk a little bit about the Volt technology. But again, it doesn't negate that you're going to do your standard balancing like you would with any gimbal-based system. It's then just something that you can then activate. So you can operate this entire system completely manually if you want, just like you would with a traditional Steadicam system. And then you can actually turn on the Volt system, which is going to assist, again, with your operation of everything that you see here. All right, so I'm going to dip to black here, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the Volt stuff. All right, let's jump into this a little bit more. And by the way, the HVAC system kicked in. So if you're hearing a little bit of a difference in room tone, I apologize. It's a working environment here, so we're going to do the best we can. All right, so what I have right now, actually, let me do this. I'm just going to go ahead and pan this, and I'm going to press this little button on the right, and this is going to put the Axis into pause mode. So when I'm in this pause mode, essentially a manual gimbal system, so you have to be extremely well balanced. You should be anyway, but the assist features with the 3 motors is going to help with that. If you've used another type of gimbal system like a Movi, or you've used something like DJI, Ronin, you'll know that as time has gone on and as the technology has advanced, it is a lot easier to balance a camera system because the motors are strong and they can assist with that. That's not really what the Volt system is all about, though it can help with that. It's a little bit, I would say, more forgiving than if you were just using this manually. So what I'm going to do right now is press this button again, and it's going to basically jump the system into the standard mode. There are all of these other modes in here. One of them is called sticky, and you can put basically your sled in any position and it will just stay there. But if I set this to my trim position here and I click the button, you'll see that it actually will stay in that position. And then if I move it, it will actually go back to that position that I set. And I can adjust here this dampening knob here to essentially increase or decrease that spring-based system in terms of how long it takes, and sort of if you think about keyframes and interpolation, easing in, easing out of something, then your dampening is going to affect that. And then you'll see here on the knob, let me just go ahead and set this to a different trim position. I just press this button here. We have pan, tilt, and roll. And the Volt system is 3-axis, and it will allow you to adjust that. So I can adjust here basically how strong the pan, the tilt, and the roll is in terms of helping. But then there's a sub-menu you can go into, and you can actually take this knob currently, again, pre-production, it may change, and you can change the inertia, and you can change the drag level of each one of those 3 axes and how they're functioning. It's a global thing that you're doing, but it will affect pan, tilt, and roll. So you can see here, let me just go ahead and set a trim position again here. One of the cool things is once you've activated this whole system, there's things that you can now do that you couldn't do, and we're using all 3 axes here, if you were using, a great operator in manual can do so many things, but with this assist feature, you can have your camera in a fixed position, and then you can actually, in this case, pan, and you'll see that it's actually, because of my position and where I'm tilted, it's actually using all 3 of those motors for this particular move. So incredibly flexible, incredibly tunable in terms of what you can do with the Axis system. So again, there hasn't been something like this that has come to market from Steadicam. This will now go upstream with the Volt 3, which will also be a 3-axis system, but for higher capacity, heavier camera systems. I loved operating this way for the time that I did, but we never had a system like the Axis. So I'm hoping to do more with Steadicam here and also incorporate this into more of the stuff that I'm doing in terms of production and also education. If you're interested in the Steadicam Axis system and you want to learn more about it on my channel, please let me know and I'll reach out to Tiffen and Steadicam and see if I can get one of these systems when it comes to market later this summer and do some more education on the things that I'm finding out with using the system as someone who I think is in that target market, which is somebody who is an owner-operator, is in a smaller crew situation. And again, I think that's kind of the magic of the Volt 3-axis system with this Steadicam Axis, is you've got something that for what you're getting here is incredibly cost effective and is a great fit for smaller cameras like small red Komodo cameras, FX3s, FX6s, well, really FX6s and FX9s, C400s, C300 Mark IIIs, so on and so forth. And then when you get into bigger camera builds, that's where you'll want to go into the Volt 3 when that comes out later this year. But, you know, 20 pounds, that's a pretty substantial camera build on something like this, especially because we're talking about a gimbal-based system. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Again, love to hear your comments and hear if this is something you're interested in with your work and what you're doing. Don't forget to, and I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.